Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back for another live stream. It's Monday night, which means one thing, Sky Bet League 2 time. Yes, match day 4 already in Sky Bet League 2. We're a month in, Monday the 2nd of September. We're nearly halfway through the next game. We are 10% through this League 2 season. So we're piling through the games. Now, to join me tonight, Josh is on his holiday. He's gone. So I had to make the big call, had to get the big boss in. I rang round, I asked some Doncaster fans. They didn't like it. Some Notts County fans, they didn't like it. Tried to get, someone. And I ended up getting a Doncaster fan anyway. It's the main man. It's JK Analysis. Jack, how are we doing?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
I'm very well. Now, we spent a lot of time together over these last 48 hours. We went to Wimbledon together. Then we filmed a League 2 video together yesterday, which you should be seeing your screens possibly Wednesday, all being well. And then we're going to the filler game tomorrow at Fleetwood. So a busy period. A great weekend in League 2. We had a goal in every single game so far. I think 26 goals across 11 games. What did you think of this weekend before we kind of clash into these next 11 games?
I don't think there's many surprising results. I mean, 2 sending off in one game, so that got a bit feisty in that one. But yeah, the half 12 kickoffs had a lot in it, and I think the big starters are still maintaining that run.
Yeah, absolutely so. Now, me and Jack have got a list and the running order is down below. He has gone. I've received many messages that a vlog is coming and people need to go over to his channel and subscribe. Let us know if you can see and hear us, and let us know how your club did this weekend. To comment, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel. You can be subscribed for any length. As soon as you subscribe, you can get involved in the live chat down below. So please get your comments in as we go through this stream. Hello, I believe she's only here for you today, from what I've heard as well. Right, let's start off with Port Vale 2, Doncaster 3, two sides that I've got in my top 3 at the start of the season. They've signed very well. Doncaster have kept very well and added to it. Talk me through it, Jack.
Well, like you said, 2 sides I have in my top 3. I have Port Vale to win the league, and so far it's not looking too promising. But no, I think for Doncaster it was a great win for them. They obviously got beat by Newport 3-1, and then they only beat Morecambe 1-0, which was a bit of a tight one for them. Maybe they should have won by more. And I think going to Vale Park, it's not an easy place to go. And then Luke Molineux extending his run, 6 goals and assists now, the most in League 2. And Billy Sharp also getting a goal and assist. And I think it's just a really good win for Doncaster. And Port Vale, you're thinking that the starting Payton up top, is it going to work? Jayden Stockley came on from the bench, and he won, I think, 9 aerial duels already when he came on. He was only on the pitch for about 20 odd minutes.
So then you as well.
Yeah, and you're thinking maybe you do need that physical vocal point up front in a Darren Moore system, because when he signed, he did actually say that he's admired Stockley for a long time, and he's wanted him before, whether it be Sheffield Wednesday or wherever Moore's been. But I was impressed with the Doncaster goals. They were really quick, having good combination play up front. Billy Sharp held the ball up well for the Luke Molineux goal. And I think that there's a good feel around Doncaster. Obviously, they haven't started the season poor. They lost away at Newport, but we've seen that Newport have started the season really well. And I just think that it's a great win to get at Vale Park. And for Port Vale, could they turn on Darren Moore? I know we're only 4 games in, but we know that it can be sometimes a toxic place to go at Port Vale, and the fans, they will tell you if you're not performing right, if you're not getting the right results. And I think maybe that's what might happen. I know Darren Moore got a contract extension, but could they bring another man in if this run continues? Because against Barrow, the second half, the they fell apart really, but I think it was more defensive mistakes. They were slow to react, and I just think obviously winless in the last three. They've got Newport away next. They've got Chesterfield at home and Accrington away. You're thinking if you're Port Vale and Darren Moore, you need to probably get minimum of 5 points there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Luke Molyneux is a special player. 4 goals, 4 assists. Now, when he gets a goal, he gets 2 goals and an assist. And I've kept him on my fantasy team. I don't know about you. Do you know anyone that took him out their EFL fantasy team, Jack?
I think you know who talking about the AFL fantasy team.
4 goals from an expected goals of 1.43. Now, Port Vale, look, they're in a losing culture. They've lost 27 of their last 50 games. It's not good enough. It's simply not good enough. And, Vale Park is a place that I like going to Port Vale. I've been there when they've been doing well. Winning on the opening day of the season, just coming up, great atmosphere. I think 8,000 home fans, glad all over. The wonder of you, good vocal fan base, from 3 sides of the ground as well. Brilliant. But they've won 7. I think they've won, 6 home games on their last 25. That's a 24% win record. It's not good enough. They got 22 points at home last year. They've got a point against Tranmere where they were poor. The other day, look, both sides, similar shots on target, similar expected goals, both 2.48 to 2.42. But again, you mentioned that Vale lineup. They've got Tollard, Curtis and Payton. It kind of seems like the recruitment they were just signing players, big name players. And, Ronan Curtis is a good player. Crowsdale scored his first goal since December. Good one for him. Tollard's got an assist. And they look better as the game went on. But this Doncaster side are the real deal. First win away from home, scoring 3 goals. Luke Molyneux, the assist is brilliant. I thought Ripley could have done better. Saves the original shot. He's slow to get up. I think Ripley's like that. He's a good stop shopper. And I think with Ripley, I like him. I think he's a great League One, lower end League One, top end League Two goal. I'm sick of hearing, I'm sorry, it's embarrassing, it's this, it's that. There's only so many words you can use for performances like that. But full credit to Doncaster Rovers. When you've got players like Billy Sharp that scored 2 goals now and getting an assist, Luke Molyneux, Clifton, Gibson, Owen Bailey in midfield, as a smile comes up as well. From that young man's face as well. And look, this Doncaster team have taken 9 points and they've scored 9 goals. They're a good team. They'll get better. I do think Darren Moore's teams are very all over the place. I kind of feel like there's no tactics. They beat teams because they are better. I can't really say that when he was at Doncaster, I can't say what they were trying to do. When they were at Wednesday, they were a great team because they had the players. And when it goes wrong, when they went on that run at Wednesday, I think they won 1 in 7, drew a few games, lost away at Forest Green, lost at home to Barnsley 4-2. Oh, sorry, away at Barnsley 4-2, I think it was. There's no plan B. And Tony said it there. I think he signed a 6-year deal. They've got to get it right, Port Vale. Some big fixtures coming up for them. They've got to go to Newport, who have started very well. Then they've got Chesterfield, Accrington, Swindon, Colchester after that as well. Some tough games. Realistically, from their next 5 to deem a success, I'd say they need minimum 9 points. I think that will get them, up and running. Grimsby got a great result over Bradford City. They've won both home games now, and they did it in good style. Swadvalson scored a goal. I think I've got that right. I've only had a month to learn it so far. Again, in the game up to kind of the late last 10 minutes, they were the miles better team. A great result for Grimsby. That's what they need. They need to be good at home because last season they weren't consistent enough in my eyes. Bradford, again, it's the first loss since, I think, March, where they lost 3-0 to Harrogate and they lost to Notts County and they got on that poor run at home where they basically lost the playoffs. Talk to me about Grimsby because, look, Rose getting a goal. He's a goal scorer at this level. Could have added one as well. Swadvalson was brilliant, I thought, as well. And they just look like they could score. Kahori, I like in midfield as well. And it's been a good start after the disappointment away at Fleetwood on the opening day as well, where they look very passive. And then to go and get beat at Notts County 4-1, they've responded very well. But for Bradford, consistency lacks.
Yeah, and I listened to what Graham Alexander said, and he wants improvement all over the pitch. Bradford, he really weren't impressed with the performance, which I'm not surprised about. Grimsby, when they went direct, they wanted Vernon being the ball carrier. They wanted Savan Forson being a really good vocal point up front. And then obviously, like I said, Danny Rose is off the mark now. And I just think with Grimsby, obviously, when they played us, they had the ball in their own half too many times. They couldn't get into the final third quick enough. And I just think now they've suffered a bit more of the ball. They've given it to the opposition side, and when they're going direct, they're trying to hit teams on the transition. They're looking more threatening. And I really like Kieran Green. He got an assist for Savan Thorson's goal, and he's just one of them where he pops up everywhere, on the right, on the left, the centre. He's just a real workhorse, and you don't expect really less than a 7 out of 10 from him. And I think Grimsby in the game had a good 4 or 5 chances, where Bradford didn't have a great amount of chances. The goal was a bit fortunate because I thought Wright should have done better, even though he was complaining at his defence that they didn't get there, which was surprising. And I think for what Grimsby have, David Artell said that they've got a few injuries, so they are coping well. And they won 2 out of 2 home games, which will give them a lot of belief. Going into they've got Chesterfield away, Barrow at home, and Bromley at home. So if they can just extend that home record, make the ground tough for the opposition to go to, I think that Grimsby will probably get a mid-table finish. And for Bradford, I just think that they need to get the ball into the strikers quicker. They need to be more comfortable on the ball than what they were. And I think last season they relied a bit too much on Andy Cook to get the goals. They might need maybe a Bobby Poynton to start chipping in more, and Callum Kavanagh or I think it's Tyler Smith.
Yeah.
But I think David Artell said that Grimsby should have been outside at half time, which they probably should have been. They were only 1-0 up, and just if Grimsby were that more clinical, the game could have ended up 3 or 4-1 for Grimsby, which would have been a fantastic result. And I think the game against Notts County, where they lost 4-1, I wouldn't say that they were great, but they were really good on the transition. Like I said, when they give up more of the ball, they look more threatening. And when they're not playing about with it in their own half, they can get into the final third better. And they have a lot of energy in the front four. So I think Grimsby, it's a decent start for them, because obviously they've got the home record now. They want to extend that. They want to make it tough for the away side. And Bradford, like Alexander said, they just need that bit more improvement in all areas of the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Great analysis there. Now, moving on, Swindon 1, Notts County 2 was a great game. Now, 3 great goals. Gavin Kilkenny, who spent a long spell on loan at Fleetwood yesterday, who last season, scored a great goal in a 4-2 win over Wigan Athletic, scored a great goal on debut, cut into that far corner. And that's what Gavin Kilkenny can do. I think he can play League One regularly enough. I think he reminds me of a very much like a Matty Virtue that can go box to box, and can go into pockets and kind of sit or go, be an advance. My problem with Kilkenny at times, he was either an 8 or a 5 or a 6, and not often enough a 7 out of 10 when you need in a relegation battle. I think Swindon will be above that this year. It's a great start for them. But the way Notts County bounced back, and the way they bounced back after, we're seeing a poor 2 games really, where they got a 0-0 draw away at Tranmere, have only conceded 1 goal, and that was to Carlisle in a game they won. And then a game that they scored in the last minute to rescue a point against Fleetwood, where it was 2-2. Jody Jones, on the day, and Chatter getting 1. And then David McGoldrick with a bit of quality. Look, he scored 22 goals, in League One for Derby County in 22-23. And then dropped to League Two with Notts County, scores 12 goals, does very well as well. And, Didsy is a good guy. He's a likeable fella, will run his heart out, and can even play into the centre of midfield at times as well. And, scored a brace. I thought the first one was exceptional, where he gets into the box, turns, and the way he hits the ball, so much power. The keeper's got absolutely no chance. And, Notts County, again, the goal they conceded with them playing out from the back, it's the way they want to play under the previous managers as well. I think in pre-season, they conceded an own goal. I think it was Platt with the own goal when they played Peterborough. They played 2 legs at London Road, played 2 90-minute games. They made over 544 passes. Notts County 60% of the ball, not quite the 81 they had against Fleetwood, but it was enough. And then when you've got goal scorers like, I think they scored 8 goals this year, and Crowley's got 2, Jatter's got 2, McGoldrick's got 2, Jody Jones has got 2. They're into the top 7. And last year they weren't. They were conceding too many goals. Look, they conceded 4 already in 4, but they've doubled that as well. And if they can maintain that start, look, there's some tough games for them. Accrington at home is a must-win for them. They'll see it as a good opportunity. Bromley away. Look, not being disrespectful to those two sides, they'll be thinking, look, we got to get 6 points. The big test in I think 2 weeks where they got to play Gillingham at home. I thought it was a great game. They limited Swindon to few chances. Look, Swindon still managed 6 shots on target. Notts County only managed 3. My worry with Notts County is they have a lot of the ball. Sometimes they're not having a lot of the play, and they like having like the likes of Robertson who can sit in there and hold, or Hinchy or at times as well that can sit, and the likes of Edwards and Crowley, Grant, Jody Jones can go forward at times as well. They've got a good team there, and I think they can do really well this year. For Swindon, a bit nervous for them.
Yeah, I think Swindon, it was a lot of improvements because obviously when I think it was lost the first 2 games, Walsall and I think it was Barrow, they went to away. And you're thinking just then that you needed to beat Crewe with the run that Crewe run. They drew 0-0, fair enough. They got a clean sheet. But I think Swindon did not deserve to lose that game. I'm not saying that Notts County were poor, but Maynard said that there was a lot of character and determination, which when Notts County win, that's not really what you'd say about them. You'd say it was all pretty football, and it weren't more it weren't a lot of defensive work. But I thought that Swindon were very, very good. At the first goal, they really pressed well, like you said. That Notts County were trying to play out the back. It was sort of Kilkenny went on Hinchy, and then Will Wright stepped up and he got the ball, and obviously it was a great goal by Kilkenny. And Mark Kennedy said that it was harsh because it was more than enough to win the game, which I think he's correct in what he said, because they were aggressive in the midfield. They won the ball back well. They got out wide. They got balls in the box. Then they got Butterworth and Shumanga, 2 ex-Fleetwood players on. They tried to get a bit of firepower up there, bringing Smith and Glatz a lot off, but they didn't really do enough. But I think, like I said, there was a lot of improvements for Swindon to go off, and I don't think Notts County were at the best, but they won a game away from home, which they weren't special for where they wanted to be last season, but they pulled through. Obviously, David McGoldrick, sort of a squad player, really. You can play behind the front 2, or he can play in the front 2, and he scored 2 fantastic goals. Connor Grant and Jody Jones getting the assists. And the first goal was a bit fortunate, really, because I was listening to Mark Kennedy and said about I think Sabawale's decision making. Said that's the only thing he needs to improve on. And then when Notts County pressed that, he went into midfield. That's where Notts County got the goal. But I just think that Swindon maybe needs to work the way into the box more to create better chances when they wanted to test Bass. But I think probably a draw was the least that Swindon deserved, and I think it's positive sign for them going into Barrow away, and then Newport at home, then Carlisle at home, who are currently managerless and are on a pretty bad run of form.
Absolutely so, Luke. My fellow TikTok friend, Birmingham fan, thank you so much for the donation, mate. See these Birmingham fans, still, you come on the stream, the window's shut, they're still spending money. Don't tell the other clubs that. They'll be absolutely raging with you that Birmingham are spending money. If you could all like the stream as well, that'd be massively appreciated. We go on to Carlisle 1, Tranmere 2. Now, after 4 games of the season, Carlisle find themselves managerless. Paul Simpson sacked at 1 minute past 8 on Saturday evening. I remember saying pretty much straight away to you that they've gone. And I think we said he could be in trouble after our game. And I said on this podcast that, I got told from someone inside the football club that he was given the first 10 games of the season. It's not quite worked out like that. Now, they've won 8 games, Jack, in 50. 8 games in 50. Now, Josh Villa, who left Fleetwood in January, could be on his 6th manager in 51 matches at the next match. That is ridiculous. So he's gone through Scott Brown, Lawler, Lee Johnson, Charlie Adam, Paul Simpson, Jamie Devitt, and the next one. So it'll be under 7. 5 managers, 2 assistants. That is ludicrous in football. That just shows you where you're going. Is it the Josh Vela effect? I'll let you answer that one. But you look at the underlying statistics. I watched them against Barrow, and they were fairly flat. They dominated the game, but they were fairly flat. Adewale J up there. You've got Charlie Wyke, who he's struggling up there a bit. I think he had a good chance to get the post on the opening day against Gillingham. Adewale J, runs in behind, runs the channels, scores goals, scored against Barrow. And they got to deserve win in the end. But that one, he got unlucky. Look, you think of the other games, Tranmere at home was a difficult one. The expected goals was low. They didn't really create much. They got hammered away at Gillingham and MK Dons, which you can say the good sides. But they want to go up. They want to compete with those sides, and they're getting bullied physically, on the pitch as well. In terms of quality, it's not great. Average possession, 16th in the league, 23rd in the worst defence in the league, 2.3. They are conceding far too many goals. Harry Lewis is getting bullied. Honestly, every time I watch Harry Lewis, I look at him and I think, you cannot come out for a cross. My first instinct was get the ball on you and get someone massive on you. Because every time I watched him against Barrow, he looked weak. Clean sheets wise, yes, they kept one against Barrow, but it's not great. In terms of expected goals, it's not brilliant as well. I think they're 15th in that on 4.1. Shots on target under 4 per game. They're not challenging enough. And this is a squad that brought a load of players in. I am very surprised they've done it now. I am, because I thought they should have done it at the end of last season. And the reason why he kept them up, brought them up when there was no pressure. The ownership came in November, December time, too late to really do anything. And, I think they were 10 points adrift. And that is ridiculous. You saw with Fleetwood that they managed to climb 9 points back. Realistically, after going 12, it's impossible to do 12. I think 10 is likely, 12 is nearly impossible. Tranmere only had an expected goal of 0.38 yesterday on Saturday and scored 2 goals from Amari Patrick, which were great goals. I think they should have done this in the summer. I think sometimes loyalty can come back to bite you. If you'd have gone any further, then I think that his reputation as a player and as a manager would be on the line. And I've watched many of his interviews, and from a year ago, how positive he was to how he was blaming the supporters, how he was blaming the players. And he just looked sad. He just looked like things were slowly turning. And the other day, they had 2 shots on target, didn't muster anything. And they were pretty pathetic last year. Now, that team at the end of the year was better than it showed. They gave up. It wasn't a Paul Simpson team, was it?
No, and like you said, when you bring in someone like Paul Simpson to the club who's played there too, it's like a cult hero. And then you keep him the whole last season, which I thought was a stupid decision. Just because of how poor Carlisle were, and then Nigel Atkins labelled him as a direct and physical side against MK Dons. MK Dons' 3 centre halves just won everything against Adewale J and Charlie Wyke. I don't know if it's because Charlie Wyke, not because he's past it, but he is aging on a bit. He might not be as mobile as he would have been, but I just think for Carlisle that it was coming for Simpson, but for any manager that is sacked 4 games in, you've surely got to know as ownership or the board that you're giving them limited time, and if you don't start well, you're getting sacked. What's the point in giving them a pre-season and then a new manager coming in September time, not having a transfer window? It was like Lee Johnson with us last season. He got brought in September, didn't have a transfer window, said he was going to do all these things in the January transfer window and didn't even make it there. So I just think it was a bit of a poor decision to keep him throughout last season, and they got a Derby Day win against Barrow. I think the scoreline flattered Gillingham when they got beat 4-1, but it's just a bit poor. They didn't create much against Tranmere, but then Tranmere are a very good defensive side, and they've got 3 clean sheets so far. Atkins has got them playing. Amari Patrick's got 4 in all competitions now, who played for Carlisle before, and I just think now Amari Patrick on the right is much, much better. And I mean, for the for the second goal when he cut in on his left foot. That was a great goal on his weak foot. And I thought he was great in the whole match. Just really explosive, just trying to come back and defend, get the ball back, then straight away turn it into attacking and transition, which was really good. And even though Tranmere only beat Carlisle 2-1, the XG wasn't high. Atkins was buzzing in his interview. Something I didn't get though, he said about the formation he played a 1-4-2-2. He included the goalkeeper in the formation, which was the only downside about his interview because he was absolutely buzzing.
He's got a weird interview style, hasn't he, Atkins?
Yeah, he was over the moon, and but then he brought it down for me about 19 seconds in when he said that about the formation.
Yeah,
But
he's very weird. But I like
for Tranmere, they battled well against the physical side. They got the win away from home. They've got 3 clean sheets, obviously, and I just think that the corner was well done for the Patrick goal because it was a 3v3 scenario. They worked it well. Obviously, Patrick scored, and I think Tranmere, can he sustain this kind of run? I think it will be hard when obviously like the MK Dons, the Port Vale, the Notts County, they properly get going, and also Chesterfield. But it's a great start for them. Carlisle will need to get the right manager in. Pete Wild's been mentioned. Would he go from Barrow to Carlisle? Who knows? It obviously his assistant is left Barrow. I'm sure we'll get onto that. So it must mean that he's got a job somewhere, either Carlisle or Blackpool. But I think Carlisle, it's got to be someone who's passionate, who's got a way of getting results, no matter how you play. You just need to get in that top 7 because of the amount of investment they've had off the pitch with the new American owners.
Yeah, agree with that. Tranmere's expected goals is the second lowest in the league. Possession, lowest in the league. Shots on target, lowest in the league. Big chance misses, third lowest in the league as well. Passes, lowest in the league as well. Long balls around about mid-table as well. Crosses, lowest in the league. So for me, I think it's a bit like Shrewsbury. Do you remember when Shrewsbury started off quite well last year under Matt Taylor and the statistics? I think that at the moment, the football they're playing is poor. I think it's a poor play style. It's not to lose. It's quite negative. But they're good defensively. They're good solid. And people come back to bite me. It is brilliant when you win. And Nigel Atkins is this god that you're defending really well. Brilliant performances. You're not conceding goals. You beat in 10 games' time when you're losing games 1-0 and there's no attacking intent. That's when you start getting frustrated. And it'd be very interesting. Look, if they keep this up, it'll be very, very interesting. And I hope they do because I like Nigel Atkins. He's lost his way in the game a little bit, but done very well at Tranmere last year by keeping them up, by finding a way, and by finding a solid base. If you could keep liking the stream and subscribe if you are new to get involved in the live chat, as well, it'd be great to see all your guys' comments. Bromley 1, Crewe 2, Jack. It was a great start with Lee, the former Crewe man who actually came on in the playoff final for Crewe against Crawley last year with a great start, the former Preston man as well. And then Mickey Demetriou, who got 15, and I repeat, 15 goal contributions from centre half before the former Burnley, Fleetwood, whatever what you want to call him, and Chris Long gets a goal as well. Chris Long is a player that has kind of been in and out of that Crewe side that in the last few years as well, struggled to kind of get a base, but he scored 9 goals last year in with 30 games as well. He's played League One as well and getting his first goal of the season as well. He scored a couple in the FL Trophy game that they played in as well, and it's a great win. Crewe needed that. They've been okay in games, bar the hammering. The Swindon game was kind of a shock after the Chesterfield game. And the opening day was an unlucky defeat. Look, they had 1.73 expected goals. They had 5 shots on target. They were much the better side. Bromley battled, but Bromley's start maybe fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah, back-to-back defeats for Bromley. But to be honest, when you've got 2 in a row at the start of the season, people are expecting big things, but then you've got to think in reality, Bromley are just come up from the non-league, so it's not too deflating if they do go back-to-back defeats. But like you said, it was really good for Crewe to bounce back like they did because Lee Bell would have none of that. Mickey Demetriou, captain, would have none of that. And it's like they went from one extreme to the other, got battered 5-0 against Chesterfield from a poor defensive display. Then they got a clean sheet against Swindon. But I just think that Crewe, like you said, they were the better side. Bromley only had 2 shots on target out of 10, and Crewe had 5 out of 15. 4 big chances that Crewe had. And I question the front two or the lone striker of starting Hemmings or Bogle, because Bogle needs a lot of man management to get him firing. But I thought even the 7 minutes that he came on, Bogle, he got around the pitch well. He got his body in front. He won the free kick that Dimitri scored from. It was really, really good play from Dimitri. Very good run, a really good finish. I think on his weak foot too, on his left foot. I think Bromley maybe could have killed the game off in the second half. They had 2 big chances, but then Crewe had very good determination. Subs of Taberner and Lancaster got an assist each, and Chris Long, a sub, got a goal. And I just think that maybe Crewe can take this momentum now. They've got, I'd say, a favourable run that they could get 9 out of 12 points. Morecambe, Accrington, Newport, Harrogate. If Crewe want to change the start that they've had, I think that Crewe can beat Morecambe, they can beat Accrington, they can beat Harrogate. And I think with Lee Bell, like he said in his interview, he's frustrated at his players not having enough confidence to play forward, to play how the way he wants. And I think that's partially why, obviously, they didn't score against Swindon, they didn't score against Chesterfield. But now, when they're believing in themselves, they're getting good substitutions on the pitch, like Lancaster, Taberner, and Long, and Bogle, who won the free kick. Then they can get some results. And also, the way that Crewe set up against Bromley, Williams and Dimitri, the 2 centre halves, won 9 aerial duels between them, and then that's against Michael Cheek and Whiteley, who will want to elbow you and be really, really not sort of bullies, but they want to have a physical game when Bromley go direct. And just the way that they cope with that was really well. And yeah, I think Crewe can take this momentum to maybe have a good start into October, and hopefully get the fans back on board, because they really weren't happy with the standards that they let slip compared to last season. And for Bromley, look, back-to-back defeats, but they had really good wins against Wimbledon and Harrogate the first 2 games of the season. They've now got Colchester, Notts County, Grimsby. They're going to sit behind the ball. They want to get the ball forward into obviously Cheek and Whiteley, I think, are 2 very good players who can link up the play well. Obviously, Lewis Lee got the goal. I thought it was a great link-up play as well with Lee, Whiteley and Cheek. And I think Bromley, it's an encouraging start. 6 points out of the first 12. I think Andy Woodman would have took that really well. I don't think they would have expected it, really. Obviously, they went down to 10 men in, I think, the 8th minute against Bradford, and obviously that didn't go the way. And I think it's 2 sides that want to be direct. They want to be physical, and I think that they'll battle well. Crewe will get some form going now, and I think that Bromley should probably get about 3 points out of the next 3, which isn't bad for them.
Absolutely. So, moving on to Walsall now. Now, Connor Barrett came in from Fylde after playing 86 times for them over the last few years, and never been really that kind of way. He's going to go and get loads of assists. He got 5 in the National League North. He got 2 last year in the National League, and already getting 2. He's a good young player. He's only 22. Can play on the right of a midfield 4 or a midfield 5. Jamil Matt is a player that we've had at Fleetwood, and I like. He's one of those that struggles to see a lot of games out. He did see this one out. 90 minutes in his legs, 132 career goals for him. Only his 10th at Walsall in 58 games as well. The Cheltenham, I worry about them a little bit. 3 defeats in a row, but the expected goals of 1.67. Walsall's, however, the highest of the day, I believe, on 3.61. And you kind of have to think, did they have loads of penalties or did they have loads of set pieces? But no, the experience they've got in the likes of Albert Adoma and Jamil Matt, I really like their side. And sometimes I think where a goal is going to come from consistently enough, but the fourth highest goal scorers in the division as well, fourth best defence. In terms of possession, they are mid-table. They're not a side that are going to have loads of possession. They're going to sit back and be solid defensively and have a good base. Look, they've got the highest expected goals in the division on just under 8. 0.6 more than Doncaster, and then 1.4 more than Notts County, who have a lot of possessions. So for me, you can have not a lot of the ball and win games of football. For Cheltenham, good to see that Miller getting up and running as well. It's a good win for them. Walsall, again, currently second in the league, 3 wins from 4. They'd have taken that all day long. I know they've already beaten Morecambe, Swindon and Cheltenham, and then obviously lost away at Tranmere narrowly. We'll learn a lot about Walsall because their next few fixtures are MK Dons away, Bradford at home, and then they've got Salford away. Realistically, if they're going to get 4 points, it'll be a good return. Now, game-wise, I gave you Gillingham at Chesterfield to cover. A very weird game that Gillingham won 1-0. Typical Gillingham win early last season where they won all 4 of their games 1-0. Chesterfield hit the bar of the post 3 times. Gillingham could have had more. Both teams went down to 10 men. A really nitty-gritty performance. Gillingham are not overperforming on terms of performances at times, but they have won against Morecambe, won against Chesterfield, dug in, kept a clean sheet, scored 1 more than the opponent, kept 3 consecutive clean sheets, and collected 10 points. They are top of the league, conceding 1 goal. They've been here before, where they only scored 4 and got 12 points, where they lost the next 2. They lost heavily to Colchester last year, if you remember, at home. Talk me through this one.
Well, Gillingham again scoring early. They've had 6 different goal scorers now for obviously the beat Carlisle 4-1. I just think what Mark Bonner wants to do is an attacking manager, but then you score 4 goals on the opening day, and then you can dig in well against Morecambe and Fleetwood. They had to travel a lot of miles because they had Swansea in the cup too, and obviously they didn't have the available players, and they had transfer listed players stepping in who were actually still at the club. But I think Chesterfield really deserves something out of that. Like you said, they hit the bar twice, they hit the post once. They had a lot of chances, and it's typical Chesterfield, to be honest, that they want to get on the front foot. They've got really good flair players, Dobra, Markandi, and also Berry. And when Aimer got sent off in the 60th minute, Gillingham just have to defend like mad, and it's just them being resolute, keeping a clean sheet, and they're not going to have much of the ball. But then they've got a goal earlier on, which it was a very good set piece. It was a really good run from Mackenzie, and I just think for Chesterfield, obviously they needed to be more clinical. And Gillingham, it's great to have 3 clean sheets on the bounce for them, like I said, because of how many miles they travel from Morecambe and Fleetwood. They haven't got the available players. They're slowly getting players back in. Dak and Andrews were on the bench. Aaron Rowe had to go off injured apparently too. And I think that they've just got that hard-working mentality about them, but they don't want to be, too stingy. They do want to try and get forward. They didn't create much against Fleetwood, but I think it's because Fleetwood obviously had more of the ball, and like Chesterfield did. But obviously, when Amy gets sent off the captain, it's not great for them, and they don't have much of a choice, to be honest. And like Cook said, that it was a tough day for them. He was disappointed that they didn't get a win, but I think he was a bit disappointed that Dunkley got sent off because they didn't have the right authority in the second half. Even though they dominated the ball, they created the chances, but they brought too much chaos. He said about the cards and the fouls that they committed. But I mean, fair play to Gillingham, 10 out of possible 12 points. Bonner's said, obviously, with the circumstances, he keeps referring to that, but it's right. They've dug in well, and I think there'll be more to come of Gillingham, and it's not much of a fluke, I'd say, for them. And when they get Nevitt back, they'll start scoring more goals. When Bradley Datt goes into the squad, he'll create a lot of chances. He can win games on his own, and I just think that Chesterfield, 5 points out of the first possible 12. Not too bad for them. I think, obviously, from what Wrexham did last season, there's a lot of expectation on them to get into that top 7, but they haven't had great circumstances either. Colclough and Mandeville have been out, and they've got suspension for Shea Dunkley. But I've been impressed how both sides have started so far.
Yeah, me too. And Gillingham digging in at right times, putting the bodies on the lines, and that's what we've credited Fleetwood for doing. That's all you can do at moments like that. And obviously, Che Dunkley getting sending off was a big moment in the match as well. And looks not in. Chesterfield's start's been difficult. 5 points, great win at Crewe. Just screams to me so far they're going to have one of those seasons where they win one, they lose one, they draw one, and it's a settling down. Welcome to the Football League to go again next year. Sometimes you might need a stop, but have that where they grew into the season in League Two, especially in the first season as well. It took a bit of time to get used to. Now Accrington drew against Colchester, two sides that have kind of struggled to get any momentum running, you could say as well. And Accrington are a side that have scored a lot of goals so far, but they've conceded 11. And unfortunately for that, the expected goals of 5.5. Look, that's great. It's great that the likes of Worley, Walton, Mooney are doing really well. Mooney scored 2 goals now. Walton's impressed me. Jimmy Knowles has impressed me. These players that have come in from non-league backgrounds, and that's what they've got to do. That's in terms of goals, 6th in the league. In terms of goals conceded, the worst in the league. They're nearly 3 per game. That is really, really poor. They are dominating the ball. They're playing a new style under John Doolan, who has brought Billy Quillen in. He supports Everton. He's an Evertonian fan. Billy Quillen has come in, and he's not played a game for a couple of years now. In terms of that, expected goals in the playoffs in the 6th. Shots on target 3rd. But unfortunately, they just need to keep it tight at the back because, in terms of goals conceded, we've said that they are the worst in the league. Expected goals against, mid-table 14th, just not kind of getting the look right now, in my eyes. Colchester, again, scoring a late goal. We could be sat here now and saying Accrington have got 6 points out of 6 in the home games. They're sitting on 6 points, but they're only on 2 because of late goals from Harrogate in a 3-3 draw. Goodlift scoring 60% of Colchester's goals this year from centre half as well. It's good to see that him, is getting goals and scored a brace against Wimbledon on the opening day as well. In terms of expected goals, Accrington hammered them. Colchester didn't really have much time in the game, but they had shots on goal. Danny Cowley's sides are going to be very, very stable. They're going to, waste time when they're winning games of football. Unfortunately, they've not been winning games of football regularly enough. For Accrington, John Doolan, he's not won enough games yet, unfortunately for me. John Doolan, I think he's won 3 out of 16 games now. Got to turn those draws into wins, especially at home, because, it's a tough place. You've got not the small task of Notts County, Crewe and Port Vale all to come. If they can get something out of Crewe, and maybe nick something against Vale at home or Notts County away, then you've got to go to Wimbledon as well. And you better fill that 1,000 away end, lads. Otherwise, you might have a little subscriber of mine on your backs as well. Another game that we kind of had a look at was Harrogate 0, Barrow 1. A great game. Barrow scored from a corner offside. But what I was really impressed about was the way that Barrow kind of grew into it and they kept on plugging away, and the set pieces are huge for them. And they've now won 3 in 4. Neo Eccleston, is a vibrant right wing back. He's small, but he impressed me against Carlisle. Great going forward as well. And the spring on him, look, I've seen strikers at Fleetwood that are about 6'2", jump 3'6". He's kind of the opposite. He's not very tall at all. I think he's probably about 5'7", I'd say. It's a great header. It's a great ball in by Jackson, the other fullback as well. A deserved win for Barrow, kind of even in terms of statistics, but a great win on the road. They've now beaten Vale and Harrogate, kept 2 clean sheets, and in the 3 wins they've kept clean sheets. Lost narrowly away at Carlisle and could have got a point there.
I've been really impressed with Barrow. I weren't really sold on the appointment of Stephen Clements. I think it was a bit of a downgrade to what obviously they had with Pete Wild, but he started the season fantastically with Barrow. They're an energetic team. The midfield's really good with Campbell, Gotts and Spence. I'm a massive fan of Spence. He's got a lot of energy, and want to link up the play on either side or down the middle, just drifting in the pockets. And ultimately, Barrow have had 3 centre forwards, I think, scoring. Aqua, Garner, and Telford all coming against Port Vale. So if they have that depth in strikers that can score, obviously Elliot Newby came on against Port Vale, got 3 assists. But against Harrogate, they were by far the better side. Harrogate didn't have a sniff until 6 minutes ago when they had 3 big chances. But Farman, he made a bit of a mistake against Carlisle. It was a bit of a howler, but he had his concentrations level high and he stopped Harrogate from scoring. And I just think Barrow, they'll go on the counter really fast. They'll create a lot of chances. I think Harrogate were too easy to turn over. And the thing is with Harrogate, is this father-son duo going to be sustainable to keep him in the Football League? And, will Mr. Weaver want to sack his son? I don't think so. And when you have a father-son duo, it can lead you into problems in terms of decision-making when Harrogate don't start the season well. Maybe the fans do want a bit of a change. I know Weaver's been there since 2009. Maybe they do need a bit of a fresh face, but, I can't see the owner sacking his son, and I think that could lead Harrogate into a bit of a mess this season. Like I said, they only created chances towards at the end of the game, 6 minutes to go, and Weaver apologised to the fans that the only positive was that the last 6 minutes were good, and that's not what you need in a full 90 minutes. You can't have just 6 minutes worth to start performing, and also the last time Barrow won away was 22nd of December, and now obviously
Crewe away 3-1.
Yeah, and Barrow, they're a good side. They haven't got maybe the high profiles. They've only got really Conor Mahoney, Dom Telford scored a few years ago, but I weren't really too sold on the recruitment. But like I said, Eccleston is fantastic on that right hand side. He's got a lot of energy, and then you've got Jackson on the other side, left back, who's comfortable on both feet. So I think Barrow are probably one of them up at the top of the table where you think you wouldn't really place them there. I think they could probably sustain that. They were obviously last season, I think, in the playoffs most of the season, was it, under Pete Wild? They were in there for quite a long time with Crewe.
They were in there from about October till, because he went to MK Dons and scored like 2 really, really late goals and got Alexander the sack. And obviously went to Bradford shortly after, and he was one of the first games actually a couple of months later. But I tell you what, you mentioned about working father and son. I struggle seeing my dad for a drink once a fortnight for an hour. Never mind working with him. So look, I totally get that. Harrogate will be okay. They've got the fight, they've got the grit. Look, they've been in games. They got a great result last week against Colchester. They weren't out of this. They lost a scrappy game, set piece from a corner. That is League Two. Be good on set pieces. The other day, we'll come to Fleetwood in a minute. Wimbledon were better than Fleetwood. If you are good at the basics, stopping crosses, defending for your lives, getting through difficult moments, blocks on the line, winning aerial duels, you win a lot of games. And Barrow have got that. The manager, Clements, did very well early on. He won his first 4 at Gillingham on the start of last year. So maybe early days, still a long way to go. But this Barrow side are exciting me. They've got pace, they've got young players, they've got players that need to prove it. And they train a long way out of Barrow as well. And it kind of feels, I think they train at FC United in Manchester. It kind of feels you've got a unity there that a lot of clubs don't, and they're building something. And the fans understand that they're not going to play this pretty style of football every week. I think Aqua is one of the best finishers if you put him through one-on-one in the league. I genuinely think that he can go and get 15 goals this year. And then you need more from the likes of Jed Garner. You need the more likes of Dom Telford, who scored his first goal since October, November last year. When I think they beat Newport away, 1-0. So, and that's what Barrow do well, going away to teams, winning 1-0. And speaking of Newport, and speaking about winning 1-0, Morecambe 0, Newport 1. Now, Morecambe remind me very much of when Fleetwood were in League 1 2 years ago. I think because we've been in League 1, I've not mentioned that. And keep getting your comments in with who you support and your thoughts on your team so far this season. That'd be much appreciated. Moore again played out to the back, and Derek Adams said in his recent press conference, he's asked his players not to go back to the goalkeeper. They want to keep the ball. They want to get it out to the wing backs and get the ball forward as quickly as possible. And they go back and Moore loses it and is in a dangerous position. And Aaron Wildig, who I think is a fantastic player at this level, they weren't quite sure would he fit into this Newport system because you've gone for a young approach, but sometimes you need an old body, you need an experience. He's a promotion winner at this level. When they got promoted a few years ago, Aaron Wildig was up there with the likes of Mendes Gomez, Cole Stockton, Liam McAlinden. You mentioned players, Jansen Ogo, Sam Lavelle, big players for them at the time. And, scored a goal, didn't celebrate respectively, so got a standing ovation as well. So, it's a good win for them. Newport 3 wins from 4. On the opening day, they lost away at Cheltenham, but since then beating Doncaster, Morecambe and Accrington and doing well. Nelson Yarding, we've seen this story before with Crawley. Morecambe, they can just not score at the minute. The goalkeeper made a trio of good saves. He could have scored 3 or 4 Morecambe. They're losing games, they're sticking in games. They're trying not to lose games at the moment and trying to nick one on the counter. At the moment, we need more from the likes of Hallam Hope, G1 Edwards, those types of players as well. Jordan Slew, Harvey McAdam is a battler and he's a top end League 2 player, according to some. He's someone that can add physicality, a bit of height, a bit of a drive in him. They've got Jansen Ogo experience at this level. This team is not bad. It's not completely bad. He's got the fight there. They lost George Ray early in the season. It came in off at Walsall. It's disappointing. Really impressed with Newport, though. But for Morecambe, worries, they've got Crewe coming up. They've got Fleetwood coming up as well. Some local games where they need to maybe pick up some points.
I think the way that Morecambe will win, it's not down to quality. It'll be just determination, grit, just pumping balls. Yeah, and even if they do pump balls long, I don't think Morecambe fans will care. They just want to stay in the Football League. Derek Adams, his third stint, had been handed with non-league players, 15 signed in one day, and when you're asking Hallam Hope to lead the line, it's not going to look convincing for you. And then you've got, I think, Tollett, who also came from Oldham. Then you've got also some other non-league duos. I think Liango was at Woking last season, who were they in National League South or National League? There was something like that.
Yeah.
And you just think with Morecambe, I mean, yes, he should have got a draw, to be honest, because if Nick Townsend, if it was a different keeper, then Morecambe would have probably scored. Nick Townsend made a fantastic save. I think Guion Edwards in the first half, he got down to his left-hand side and you're thinking, like, with Morecambe, obviously, if the players actually listened to Derek Adams, then they wouldn't have conceded, because if your manager's asking not to go back to your goalkeeper, you don't go back to your goalkeeper. I know, it's in the moment, but you've got to have that good decision making. Just do your basics right, and then at the end of the day, they've been punished. And Jordan said that they probably deserve more from the game. That was speaking about Morecambe, and he did say it was a good 3 point versus a well organised side. And I think, to some extent, that is true, but I think the way that he was speaking about Morecambe, he was saying that they were a quality side, which I don't think is true, because obviously they're the only team in, I think, England and Scotland not to score a goal yet, at Morecambe. And I mean, Adams praised them. He said it was an excellent start to finish, which it was for them. But just if they have that concentration level, if they just try and create more chances, and I think Morecambe, the results will come.
Yeah, going from Adams to Adam. Wimbledon 1, Fleetwood 0. Went to the game, both of us. Frustrating watch. I thought what Wimbledon did very well was use a front two. Piggott and Bugle, 2 men you can hit. Bugle hit 14 goals last year. I think he scored 4 in his last 3. Actually against Walsall on the final day as well. I think they won 5-3. Piggott is a player that has scored goals there before. It was a 1 in 3 when he signed from Maidstone. And again, players people are obsessed with numbers. You've got to sign 20 goals. You've got to sign a striker that have been prolific. And clubs like Wimbledon and Fleetwood have got to be realistically with what they can sign. Joe Pigott was one of those. When he's come back, he struggled for form, and he's at Wimbledon for a reason now because he struggled. If he thrived when he went to the likes of Portsmouth, Ipswich, later on, he wouldn't be in League Two Wimbledon. That's no disrespect to them. I thought they were outstanding. The goal was a good one. I think the defensively is very poor from a Fleetwood set piece kind of wise. But from set pieces, they bullied Fleetwood. It's a really, really good finish. And, from a goal scorer, he doesn't score many, but when he scores them, he hits them very well as well. And I was very impressed. After the goal, there was only one team in the game, and that was Wimbledon. They were the better side. Fleetwood didn't create anything. And, you've got strikers like, Meepo up there, Harrogate, Helmet as a shadow striker at times. Well, Coughlin, that just looks so off the ball. That's 3 games, for Fleetwood 2 games where we've not scored in. It's disappointing, but from the standards that Fleetwood have set, defensively looked okay at times. Wimbledon, they've just won a scrappy game. They're going to be good at home this year. They've won the first 2 home games there. Won an away game, got 9 points from 12. They're going to be solid this year. They've got to keep clean sheets. Never looked in any danger. And I think as almost Fleetwood were poor, they defended very well, Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, like I said about defending set pieces, Joe Pigott was an absolute monster in both boxes. The aerial presence he brings. And I said to you about, Wimbledon have got two target men that they can hit, but also they're very good technical players, very good footwork, and then they can bring Stevens off from the bench, who is a bit of a different profile. He can run the channels well. He's a bit quicker than them. He's a bit more willing to go in behind. And he scored, I think, 26 for Forest Green this level. But I just think with us, every time we try and dominate the ball, not that we have no structure when we have more of the ball, it's just that we can't get into the final third quick enough. And then when we try to go direct from goal kicks, we don't have the kind of vocal point. We stayed away from a target man when we were signing number 9. And sometimes it can get frustrating. And I just think we're a very better team on the transition.
Yeah.
But if we're just relying on that, I think it can only take us to a certain level. We need to be more adaptable to different
games
for different teams that we play. Because in the second half, I think we had 59% possession, and we didn't create anything. I think our only chance was that scramble in the box where a Wimbledon fan said from there, and it actually went over the line. But I'm not too fussed because we didn't deserve to get any points out of the game. And I think we've just got a bit too excited because we've got a cup run. We were unbeaten before that, and just gone back to reality where you can't win every game. And we've got the international break because obviously our game's postponed. Our forwards can click with each other. Our midfielders can get stronger, and hopefully, when we come back from the international break, we can start picking points up again. And unfortunately, I jinxed us because I said I'm confident in every game that we go in.
Well done, Kershaw. 3 games that you've been with me, and we've lost 1-0. Yes, I do, because at home we're trying to be a lot more on the front foot and take the games to team. Away we kind of sit down and try and counter them. And when you go a goal down, all of a sudden that's difficult. You've got to change your approach away from home. And at times we're being found out a little bit. We need to find a structure. And at times it kind of feels like we don't know when to play and what. So we don't know when to go quick in transition. We don't know when to go out wide to the ball. We don't know when to play out from the back. We don't know when to press. And it'll take time. It'll take a couple, maybe even a full season, in this level. And I'm prepared to wait that long as I see enough. The main aim is staying up. 5 points from 4 isn't a good return. It isn't. Am I sat here thinking I want that for the rest of the season? It's not a good return at all. You're going to get 55 points and finish mid. I think that the standard of the football club that are setting. Look, my first aim was staying up in the division, and it was, and we started very well. But I think the Gillingham performance we played well in, we should have won the game. Notts County, we're probably at around about where we are. There's still a lot of work to be done. This team will get better. I'm still positive, but points-wise, I think a lot of people are a lot more happier than I am because I still feel like we're slightly short. And I look at the striker options and think it needs to click because we have to score goals. We're solid at the back. Charlie Adams sorted out probably 7 or 8 of the main issues out, whether it be players, members of staff, the ownership sorted itself out, players coming in. Defensively, we're a lot better. The goalkeeper, he's a lot better. Fullback-wise, we're a lot fitter. A lot of the players that we brought in aren't seem to do 90 minutes if you look at it. Like Helm, Mackenzie Hunt are being, Coughlin has just come back from injury as well. So I'm worried for that, but this team will get better. I believe in it. And Brendan Weir do say at the football club, the depth is there in some departments. Up front, there's not a lot. If I'm honest with you, you've got Meepo and Tommy Lonergan. And then you've got the likes of, Virtue, Broom. So you have got a bit of depth for what you can allow in League Two for the budget. But up front, I think we're going to struggle. We need to get the likes of Meepo and Tommy Lonergan potentially up to speed. And Harrogate looked a little bit slow and sluggish, that he hasn't played a game, for a long time. I know he's had a couple of cup games. Going on to next week, we'll have a look at the fixtures in a minute. If you've got any questions for us for the last kind of 5 minutes of the chat down below, that'd be appreciated. We're going to put it next week's results as well. So get some comments. And before we do so, Jack, plug your social media, mate.
Go on to Twitter, JK Analysis 7. I don't just do Fleetwood content. I try and cover all the EFL teams. Some people say I'm a Doncaster fan. It's just that I think they love me more than Fleetwood fans at some point. But no, Twitter, JK Analysis 7. I do analysis. I do more or less anything that's requested.
Yeah, absolutely. So get your comments in for a Q&A at the end as we go in to having a look at next week's fixtures. Now, a couple of games have fallen victim to the international break. It's not like League One where there's 9 off in League One. There's only 2 off in League 2, being Fleetwood, Salford and Tranmere against Wimbledon. So I'll let you go first, Jack. Barrow versus Swindon. Barrow with a great start. Swindon with the worst side in the league last year. I think they only won 3 away games. Yet to kind of really stamp their authority. Good point on the road last time out at Crewe. Score prediction.
Barrow 1, Swindon 1.
I'm going to go for 2-1 Barrow. Bradford against managerless Carlisle. Carlisle going to this one. I think that Paul Simpson would have been there. They'd have lost it. I still think it's going to happen. I'm going to go first in this one. I'm going to go Bradford 2, Carlisle 1, Jack.
Are we doing the thing where you can't copy each other's?
No, forget that rule. That's a stupid rule. I don't know why we do that on League One.
Well, anyway, I'm going to go 3-0 Bradford.
Wow. Cheltenham, Harrogate. Cheltenham were favoured at home.
2 underwhelming teams, to be honest. It's Harrogate, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it Cheltenham?
Oh, yeah. Right. 2-0 Cheltenham then. I'm
going for 2-1. Chesterfield against Grimsby. Grimsby impressed at home, yet to get a point away from home. Conceded 5, scored 1. Chesterfield, frustrating so far. Not consistent. I think they get a win in this one, though. 2-1.
I'm going for 1-1. Another 1-1 draw for Chesterfield. Colchester,
a good win against MK Dons recently at home. Play Bromley. Can Bromley stop the rot?
I'm going to go for 2-1 Colchester.
I'm going to agree there. Crewe, Morecambe, a must win. I think for Morecambe, you think that Crewe, after last week, you don't want to go and lose again. And then all of a sudden you're 4 losses in 5. If you win this one, all of a sudden you've won two of your first 5. It's not a bad start. You've won your last 2. You picked up momentum. I'm going to go for Crewe 2, Morecambe score 1. Doncaster, Gillingham, your boys. Big game for both. Both have impressed. Doncaster 9 points, Gillingham 10 points. Gillingham's toughest test of the season so far, I'd say.
Yeah. Doncaster 2, Gillingham 2.
I'm going to go for Doncaster 2, Gillingham 1. Fleetwood play Salford in a postponed match. I think we're going to not win this one. I get a point for that one. MK Dons, Walsall. I think that MK Dons continue after a good result at home last time out by winning this one by 2-0 against a good Walsall side that have impressed so far. Defeat to Tranmere last time on the road.
3-1 MK Dons.
Wow. Newport play Port Vale in a game that you think could decide the mood. If Port Vale go and lose this, and Newport, great result for them, 4 in 4. What are you saying? Port Vale, do they get back to the winning trail, win the second out of 3 away games?
A boring 0-0 draw.
I'm going to go Port Vale will nick it 1-0. Notts County, Accrington, Stanley. I'm going to go for 3-1 Notts County.
I'm going to go 4-1 Notts County.
4-1, right. Let us know your score predictions down below as well. And any final questions before we go as well. I hope you have enjoyed this. This is your home of League One and League Two content. It would be greatly appreciated if you could like the stream and could subscribe as well. And go and follow Jack as well. Who do you think would be the best manager for Carlisle? Lovely friendly club and I visited, great fan zone. I think you've got to look at the likes of potentially a Gary Rowett is available, a Brian Barry Murphy. I don't think it's quite suited to what they want to do. Pete Wiley's local. I don't think they want him because the Barrow connections, and it'll be difficult for them. Anyone that springs to mind for you?
I just think with Gary Rowett, would he go from Championship straight to League Two? I think that's just my only worry. I think Pete Wild stylistically would be a good fit for Carlisle, but like you said, it's just about would Carlisle go for an ex-Barrow manager? But I think probably Pete Wild, and also we've seen ex-manager. Well, we've seen managers of rival clubs go to clubs anyway, like Simon Grayson. He's been to Preston, Blackpool, and Fleetwood, so some aren't afraid of doing a tour around the area.
Gareth Ainsworth will be. I don't think they want that style of football, but he's a type of guy that will galvanise them, and I can see that. I said Dino Manria. I think that right now they need someone to come in and win games of football. They're up against it at the moment defensively. He'll sort them out, structure them, and get them scoring goals in football match again, winning games of football again. Smiles on faces like he's done previously at Stevenage, Oldham, Burton Albion as well. He is very small. Just saying. That is real picture. That is not stage. That is a real picture. That is how tall he is.
Go on his latest vlog, and that is very not true.
That is true, though. Look how small you are. You're about up to my shoulder. Like a parrot, you boy. Steve Cooper, yeah. And then again, it's taken a while for them to kind of accept him if they ever do accept him. They've got a lot of love for Jack, and a big thank you for Jack, who's come on and made his debut, and I think he's done fantastically well. Have you found it?
No, I've enjoyed it, waffling about. Well, unfortunately, Fleetwood, it weren't a great chat about us, but it's been great to talk about the different sides and the different results. I think Salford are 1-0 up against MK Dons so far.
Yeah. The limbs there as well. So again, a big thank you for all your support tonight. The people that have stuck with us through the live stream as well. It is early days for this show. I do appreciate everyone coming on. If you haven't already, please like the show. It costs nothing to do. Please subscribe. It would really mean a lot. We've got a League Two video out, me and Jack, on Wednesday that we recorded yesterday of the whole month review as well. So you can check that out. Jack, any final words, mate?
Up the cods and get subscribing to Cods Vlogs.
Top man. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I will see you later. Up the Cods. Up the sky.
Up the Cods.
HMI League Two. Come on. Have I only just noticed that, by the way?